Good morning. Today we're going to make a clay monster, and all you need are a few items to get started. First, you need some sort of a board that you want to surface that you want to work on. This is actually a drywall board, but you can use a piece of cardboard. Basically, this is just to keep your table clean. Um, and then you need a lump of clay. This is pretty small. You could go bigger if you like, but I figure for um, demonstration purposes, smaller hands can use smaller piece of clay. You need a plastic fork, a plastic knife, and then a little cup of water, and a little beverage if you need some. All right, so here we go. So for this clay monster, I'm thinking we do a small pinch pot, and then we'll add different features to it, like eyes, like arms if you like, anything else you like. So, but we start with a little pinch pot. So I would take your plastic knife, maybe lower this a little bit, plastic knife, and then cut about, let's see, 2/3 of the way. Okay. So this is for the body part, which is the pinch pot portion of it. And these are for the rest of the body parts. Okay. So first of all, I would tap it, make it into kind of a round bowl. Okay, roll a little bit. And you can do different shapes as you like. But just for this one, I will make it into a round bowl. Okay, so use your thumb, pick a spot, poke a hole, but don't go all the way through. Okay, I would go probably 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through, leaving a little clay on the bottom. And so this is a very basic pinch-in technique. So once you stick your fingers through, keep your thumb on the inside and use your 4 other fingers to press. And this hand, you're basically just supporting it so you don't drop it. Okay, so you just keep going around in circles. Do it slowly at first. Okay, and you can make this as thin as you like, but when you make it thin, the possibility of breakage or cracking, it's a lot higher. So, okay, so you want to pinch until you get to the thickness and the size that you like. You can go backwards a little bit too, but basically you're not really looking for shape at the time at this moment. You're really just pinching to make a bowl. Okay, so let me show you what I have right now. Okay, and I like it a little bit so you can see. I like it, it's sort of a steep bowl right now. I like it a little bit rounder, so I'm going to use my thumb, just go inside here and then just press it out a little bit. So everything is very gentle pressures. And this is a relaxing activity, so take your time with it. Okay, I'm pushing it out a little bit to make the shape round. Okay, so now, once that's done, okay, so I'm going to set this aside for now. this is a shape I like. So I'm gonna keep it right here. Okay, now what kind of features would you like? I think it probably should have some eyes. So for this guy, I'm gonna do maybe 5 eyes. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as you want, as few as you like, okay? Let's see, so I'm kind of imagining some eyes on top, maybe some arms sticking out, you know, maybe feet, teeth, maybe a tongue, something very silly. So let's make some teeth. So teeth are very similar to the eyes, how you make them. You take a little ball and then put in your palm and then one hand, and then use your other hand to slowly shape it. So it's very easy to, if when you do this, to start shaping into a bowl. Just using a ball shape, and then you can slowly roll it out into like a little cone, you know, that's kind of like a tooth. Sometimes you'll get a little cracks because when you press it too hard, the stress could cause a little crack. So you take a little bit of water, not too much, and then you just smooth it out. Okay, so here's one tooth. I'm gonna flatten the bottom so it sits better. And make another tooth. Again, I'm going to roll a ball in my hand, and then slowly shape it into a tooth. And you know, don't worry about sizes and shapes. You know, none of us have ever seen a monster like this. So we are actually creating a brand new monster, right? So just go with the flow, see what comes to mind. And sometimes, you know, art is created from just doing something and don't think about it too much. So here we go. At least that's my approach. So I'm just gonna make a bunch of teeth and decide how many I want to use. Remember, you can, you know, depending on what kind of animal it is, there are different ways their teeth are grown. Like sharks, they have rows and rows of teeth that come off, and then, you know, new teeth replaces them. New teeth replace them. So let's see. Keep going. So I'm just gonna make a couple more. Okay. So there's some teeth that are sort of curved and sharp. Some are rounded. Just like our teeth, you know, some of them are more worn down. Some of them are sharper. So, okay, so that's the teeth. Maybe I'll do some arms. So with arms, I'm thinking maybe some sort of coils. So I roll it out on my board. Into kind of a stick. And I kind of want a little muscle definition, or like sort of where the, you know how our arms have, we have elbows. So you have different sort of thickness in portions of your arm. And I imagine for this monster is kind of like that. So this is going to be the upper arm. This is going to be the forearm. You can do it however you like. This is just how I am doing it today. Okay, so this is the basic arm I'm going to do. And I'm going to give it some claws. So what I'm doing is, next is I'm going to flatten the front of this arm and to create a hand basically. And then I'm going to take my plastic knife and make 2 cuts. Okay, like this. Wait, sorry. Okay, so then now you have fingers or claws. And what I'm doing is I'm separating the fingers. I don't know if you can see that well. Okay. And then just kind of slowly pinching them into a shape that I want. Okay, so here you go. See, oh, sorry. So that's one arm. Gonna take another lump of clay, add a little bit of water, and then roll it out. Again, here's the arm. Give it a little muscle definition. Just really just to differentiate different parts of the body, the arm. Okay, here's a hand again, and then again making 2 cuts like this, and then taking a little bit of water and separating the fingers. Sometimes pieces fall off as you're shaping it. That's okay. The cool thing about clay is you can always glue it back together with just a little bit of water. This is only while it's kind of wet, but once it dries out, it'll be more difficult. But you know, what you can do is always take your entire piece of clay and submerge it under water, and then drain out the water, and you can salvage the clay and do it again. So, in fact, the clay that I've given you came from a bunch of different projects that I have been working on that didn't work out. So, okay. So we got eyes, we got teeth, now we got arms. I don't think this guy needs legs. Okay, I'm gonna make a tongue. That sticks out. So, tongue is flat, right? But it's kind of long. So what I'm gonna do is, again, start out with a round piece of clay, and then I'm gonna roll it out a little bit. So when you're creating a coil, the easiest way, the intuitive thing to do is to roll with your palm, but it's actually easier to use your fingers. So you go like this, and it's a gentle pressure. Just go back and forth, okay? Don't push very hard, or you'll end up with sort of a flat coil, which sometimes is very useful. So here's a little length of clay, I guess, and I'm slowly shaping it. I'm gonna make it a kind of an elongated tongue. And keep rolling, adding a little water so whenever I see cracks. Okay, so now I have a little tube, right? And I'm gonna flatten it with my fingers. Now I flattened it. Okay, so this is kind of the shape I want it to be. Okay, let me show you. It looks like this. Okay, but you can do any shape you want. You could even fork the tongue if you want. But I like it, you know, I don't want a flat tongue completely, so I'm gonna make it so that it looks like it's doing a little bit, you know, it's kind of wavy looking. So I shape it and then I smooth out the edges. Okay. So here's tongue. What else does it need? Maybe a tail? I may do a tail that wraps around the back. So similar to the arm and the tongue, I'm trying to create a sort of elongated piece of clay with one end sort of tapered and the other end sort of fat. Okay, and you can do whatever you want. There are all kinds of different tails. Be as creative as you want to be. A lot of times when I'm sculpting, I like to try to push the limits a little bit and try to defy gravity and other laws of physics. A lot of times it doesn't work. So, but you got to try different things. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. This is the tail I want this monster to have. Okay, so let's take a look. I got 5 eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teeth, 2 arms, and a tongue, and a tail. Okay, there's still more clay, but I can do something with that later if I come up with something. Okay, so here's my monster head or body. I see a few cracks around the rim of it, so I'm just gonna use a little a little water to smooth it out. Okay, I think you guys have done some clay work in school. Those of you haven't, it's okay too. And they probably teach you things like when you want to attach a piece of clay to another piece, you need to slip and score, okay? We don't have slip today, but you can just use water because this clay is relatively soft and still pretty wet. So, okay, I'm gonna make the shape of the mouth kind of like this, okay? And because I want it to sort of stand on its own, so I'm gonna flatten one side of it on the back. So go like this, okay? So now it's flat, see? And it can stand on its own, okay? And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to attach, so you kind of have to think about procedurally or the order of how you want to attach all of these pieces. I would personally put all the stuff on the inside first and then attach arms. So then, you know, the arms and the tail aren't in the way of your work. Okay. Now for the teeth. Actually, no, let's do the tongue first because that goes the furthest in. Okay. So what I would do is take my plastic fork, dip it in a little bit of water, and you know, the tongue is attached to the back. So I'm gonna score the tongue. Bring it closer. So go like this. Sort of do a crosshatch kind of pattern. I think the tongue is gonna stick out like this. So because you kind of have to look at how many places is actually touching another piece. So for this one, the back of the mouth is, and then sort of the lip. So I have to score in two places on the tongue, one in the back and one in kind of the front. Okay, so this is what I did. One in scoring back here and some scoring here, okay? And then so I sort of place it where I want it to be just so that I know. And what I like to do is I like to put a little water on the places that I am attaching and then put it in where you want to attach. And you know what that does? It tells me exactly where I need to score on the other piece. So I scored the monster mouth where it's gonna attach. Okay, so then now I add more water, just you know, just so that it's wet and kind of sticky. Okay, and then attach. And once you attach, you kind of have to compress it a little bit, but you don't want to lose the shape of the tongue that you just built. So anyways, so there's that. Okay, now teeth. Just pick up any tooth and, you know, use your imagination in terms of where you want this tooth to be. You guys have smaller hands, so I think you have an easier time than me to try to put these in. So this is kind of like implanting teeth. I know you guys probably don't like dentists all that much, but that's what they do sometimes if you don't take care of your teeth and eat too much candy. So here we go. Here's one tooth using the same technique of scoring and slip on both of the surfaces that attach. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to do another one. Score, dip in water, and find the spot I want it to be. Mark it with the water. Score. Okay, Take as much time as you need. Because this is supposed to be relaxing, right? Okay, so when you put the teeth in, you kind of want to put your other finger on this side, on the other end, as you compress it in. That way it actually sticks, okay? So as you're working, you're gonna see some rough spots from time to time. You can use your if you want, you can use your fingers to smooth it out as you go. Okay, I'm gonna do another tooth. Right next to that last one. A little clay, a little water, sorry. And then attach. Okay. So those are the bottom teeth. I think I'll put some on the top. So for the ones on the top, you can just flip the thing over. And don't worry if you like sort of mess up the shape. You can always reshape it. If you really don't like the result, you can always mush it all up and start over. So not a big deal. Feel free to redo as many times as you want. And I want you guys to think about this as it's more about the process, the enjoyment of playing with the clay rather than trying to make something. I mean, we are making something, but it's okay if you don't end up with anything that you're happy with. A lot of times I make things and, you know, leave it, look at it, and decide, I don't like it. I'll just dunk in water and reconstitute the clay, and then make it again another day, right? Okay, so doing the same thing over, making more teeth. Okay. There's no particular order for, how the teeth would go. Just do whatever feels right to you. Okay, I'm just sort of taking off some of this excess clay that came from the attachment. And just use your fingers and slowly, gently smooth out everything. Okay, so now take a look. I got a head with seven teeth, yep, and a tongue. Okay, I like the teeth to be crooked, so you can see one is really sticking out. Okay, now should we do the eyes? Okay, I got 5 eyeballs. That's kind of crazy. Where would they go? So I'm gonna do some eyes on top. Take an eyeball, score it, slip it. In this case, just add some water and stick it on. Score it. dip in a little bit of water and stick it on. I find to get it to stick well, a little bit of push and twist motion helps. Just to show you how it looks right now. Okay, here are the 5 eyes. I'm gonna flatten them a little bit. Okay, so now my monster has 7 teeth, a tongue, and 5 eyeballs. Okay, next step, I'm going to attach the arms. Same thing, score the arms where the attachment is going to be. I think I'm going to put the arm, this one right here. So, and because the arms are still pretty soft, you can actually sort of, to make it more dynamic, I would place them and then try to move them around a little bit. So, okay, but this is a little bit trickier. So, once you score and slip and stick it on, use your one hand set of fingers to push it, and use your other finger to slowly sort of smooth out where the joint is. Because this is a longer appendage or attachment, you want to make sure the joint is really, really tight. So here's one arm. So as I was saying, I like to move it around a little bit to make it look like it's actually sort of more moving. So I'm going to press it so that it's not just sticking out, but it's actually more bent and sort of looks like it's doing something. And sometimes because clay has its limitations, mostly gravity, I'll try to pull whatever you attach down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have it attached to the mouth or the face of this monster. That way it actually has more than one place of attachment. Okay, you don't have to do that, but that's just what I'm doing. So I'm attaching right here. Okay, so now it's actually kind of touching his face. Okay, now this arm, I might have it do this, sort of sticking in, or I could do it like this, or rub the eye, anything, so up to you. So first I flatten where I'm gonna joint them, score, just like before. Okay, now, so I am going to attach it right around here. So again, dip it in water and mark it with water. Okay. And once I attach, use my finger to make it a strong attachment as possible. And you got to remember you have teeth and tongue and all those things on the inside. So as you're working, you kind of have to be careful and not knock them off. Okay. Now this arm, maybe I'll just keep it like that. I don't know. Realize some of my eyeballs were kind of loose, so I'm gonna press them a little bit. Okay. So now, what do we have? We have 5 eyeballs, 7 teeth, a tongue, and 2 arms. Okay. Didn't like the tail that I made before. You know, maybe I'll skip the tail. Okay, so now you have extra clay. You can do whatever you want with it. You can make scales if you like to decorate. You know, if you have sort of what you want, this is the time to start adding more definition. So definitions are basically just, you know, more details to this monster you have. For example, you have the eyeballs, right? The eyeballs are not just round balls. You could make little indentations using the back of your fork. So it looks like, can make it look like, you know, your eyeballs are looking at different directions just by making a little indentation. I mean, what's the point of having 5 eyeballs if you can't look at in 5 different directions, right? Okay, so that, and then I'm gonna do the tongue a little bit, because if you look at your tongue, it's not just a smooth piece, right? It has taste buds on it. So what you can do is take the bottom back of the fork or the knife, you know, and just dent it a little bit in different spots, gently, but you know, you can make details. In kind of random places. Okay, so let me bring this closer. I don't know if you can see, but sorry. See, there are indentations. Okay. And then what else does this monster need? Maybe some horns? Okay, that's a good idea. I'm gonna make 2 horns to put on the top of the head. Just like before, take a piece of clay and then you turn it into sort of an elongated piece of clay, and as you work, smooth out the surfaces. And once you have the basic shape, you try to shape it how you want it. I like it a little twisty. It looks like, you know, those goats with a twisty horn. Okay, here's one. Make another one. Same process. Okay. Again, you don't have to worry too much about symmetry. They don't have to be the same size or shape. Just do whatever you want. Okay, so I have 2 horns. I'm just going to score them again, just like everything that we've attached. Always score. Use your fork. And then I think I'm going to put them on the top of the head like this, just behind the eyes. So I'll do one here and then do one here. Okay. And take the horn. I'm going to attach it. Okay, here's one. Here's another. Okay. And again, use my finger to compress where the joint is, because I want to make a strong joint. Okay. So here is my monster. Let me show you. Wait, here we go. So it's got 2 horns, 5 eyes, 7 teeth, 7 very crooked teeth, a tongue, and 2 arms. All right, I hope you had a good time. And look forward to doing this live with you guys tonight. This is just one way to make this monster. It doesn't have to be this way or another way. So just let your creativity go wild, okay? Have a good time.